So we're here at Palm Avenue in Altadena, California. It's a nice, peaceful neighborhood. And man, you just can't appreciate what's happened here unless you actually come out here. You can imagine it being such a quiet, nice neighborhood. But then when you look around and you take a look at a place like this, all that's basically left is the chimney. We took a drive out to Altadena, California in the wake of the wildfires that swept through that city's downtown and its residential neighborhoods. And the reaction of everyone in our car for seeing it for the first time was, wow, look at that. You're driving down what looks like a normal city boulevard, and then all of a sudden you come to a burnout building and you say, wow, look at that. And then you come to another one and another one and another one, and it just goes on. The impact of this event on this city is very, very significant, and we're going to take a look. I'm Russ, and this is News and Notes. To have a look at some of the damage, we're going to take a drive up Lake Avenue. And this is Everest Char-Broiled Burgers. A little further up, Brian's Cleaners and Laundry was completely lost. And a little further up the road, you can see Altadena Dental is gone, and that's Fox's Restaurant. The library, Altadena Municipal Library, is gone. It's devastated. And so is the Spiritual University Press off there to the right. Now, taking a drive down Mariposa, you can see that there's some buildings here that were lost. This was the Altadena Hardware, Steve's Bike Shop, Amera Kitchen, a little eatery, Wellama Hat Company, and a State Farm Insurance office. And then as you turn the corner, there's the fire station there on the left, and what a bit of trauma they went through. Going a little further up the road, and you come into Lifeline Christian Fellowship is gone, and then we turn into the residential areas that were impacted by the wildfires, and there's a much more expansive impacts than that quick look. But let's have a look at this property here. Now, there's a hit and miss condition here with some houses completely spared, but others just wiped out with nothing left but the chimney standing, and now debris to be removed. And that's the challenge, getting the lot cleared so you can start rebuilding. Now here you can say this property's hazardous materials have been removed. So that's a good sign at 1100 East Palm Street. Now, as we go through these pictures to give you an idea of what exactly was lost through this fire, I did call and talk to the EPA, and they said all of their work to get the hazardous materials cleared from the lots has been done. The Army Corp of Engineers is now working on debris removal, but that's a good sign. Now, if you take a look around here of this street, this was a very, very nice neighborhood. So this is the area that we're looking at right here, and that's the home that's gone, along with a whole bunch of other ones. And what's really interesting is you come up here, and here is one house that for some reason survived all of this. Let's get back down to the business district. Here's the Altadena Hardware, okay? Now, you saw the street. We drove down that street in the earlier clip, but let's take this little guy here and take a look and see what was there before. Okay, so this is all it burned, all right? Now you had a really nice Altadena Hardware, very extensive little hardware. It's not Home Depot, but I'm sure that this was a very helpful, friendly place, sorely missed in town. We had Steve's Bike Shop, and Mappa Kitchen, that's a restaurant, okay? So a little eatery. Looks like you can go get yourself a really nice, good quality hat, and then, of course, the State Farm Insurance building. Now, all that's gone, but ironically, all this here was untouched. So all these businesses are fine, photography, the whatever other buildings are here, fine, but the rest of it's gone. Fox's Restaurant, and you can see it was a nice little eatery, gone. Somebody's livelihood gone. Chase Bank survived. Bank of America didn't make it. It's totally burned down. So did Abundant Harvest. Now here's something interesting. The Altadena Public Library was burned. That's the public library, and as you can see, it is just gutted. There's nothing left of that. And you might also be interested to note that all of these homes are gone. Now, what's the impact? These are all people that were living and working and spending money in town, all those little shops that we looked at. I mean, this is a huge economic impact. Now, the next step in the cleanup process is the Army Corp of Engineers coming in to do the debris removal. And some of that was taking place. But the second thing that struck me besides, wow, look at that, was this is really quiet. I mean, if you expected to go into these neighborhoods to see, intensive efforts, crews everywhere, just clearing this out as if, they want to get this done in a hurry, I didn't see that happening. I know there was talk that this was going to be an 18-month process, and there was assurances that that wouldn't be the case, but I'm wondering exactly how long this is going to take. And I did get in and talk to a couple of the crews, and one of the issues that came up with 3 crews that I talked to that were there doing the debris removal was getting the clearance to go in and actually do the work. And what's happening is they're being moved around from one neighborhood to the next. They're not concentrated in one block. So what they're doing is they're going into a neighborhood early in the morning, and a couple of them talked to told me exactly this. We started about 1.5 miles away working on a lot, and then our next work order was to go over here where I was talking to them, and said, so, it took us like hour or so to pack up, get moved over, unpack, get everything ready to go, start doing the work here. And if we could have just stayed on the same street, we could have got a whole lot more done. So there's some coordination problem going on somewhere. And I did call LA County, and they were very nice, very helpful, and I would suggest anybody who's working to get their lot cleared and get scheduled was to call down to that office, because the person I talked to seemed very, very concerned, wanted to get work, just give me an address. Of course, I don't have one. I don't have a lot there. I'm not going to go give them a false address. They said, give me your address, and we'll get the crew scheduled. And what they said to me was, if everybody would get together and put in their opt-in paperwork, and I'll get into more of that in a minute, put in their opt-in paperwork all at once, well, then they could schedule the neighborhoods. Now, maybe this will get geared up and move a little faster, but my impression is that it's moving slow. Now, you have 2 options. You can opt in, and that means you're going to let the Army Corps of Engineers come in and clear the lots and get everything else done, or you can do it yourself. Now, the do-it-yourself part is going to require you to pull permits, and that's not an easy process at City Hall. The downside of the opt-in is you're waiting in line until they get to you. The opt-out, where you're going to do it yourself, is you're waiting to get permits. And I talked to a couple of contractors who sat there, had their crew ready to go, were under the impression that everything would be clear for them to start work, and they'd been sitting there. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I talked to them, and they'd been sitting there since early morning waiting for the county to give them clearance to get started. And they were ready to go. They would have had those lots cleared, done. Everything was cleared. EPA said, fine, you can haul this stuff off. And they're waiting on the county. So there's some coordination problem going on. And again, I'm not trying to be harsh on anybody. It's just obvious that it's not moving as quickly as it could. Meanwhile, people are trying to put their lives together. I do have some contact with some friends who live there. They're trying to sort things out. Right now, they're just trying to find a place to live. They're in an apartment now. It's way too small for their family. They need something bigger. They're looking for something bigger. But the problem is lots and lots of people who are looking to find housing and rental space all of a sudden. The contrast between what burned and what didn't couldn't be more stark than here at Mount Curve Row and Mount Low Drive. Because right across the street from a house that's perfectly fine is this house here. Zoom in on those hills up there, and that's where the fire came racing down and in through the community.